Just quickly to give a little background information about my family. My father was orphaned. He was placed on an orphan train. It was literally called the orphan train. Dropped off at a small town, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He was taken in by a family, and then they couldn't deal with him. They had their own medical issues. We're going to turn him back in when Howard and Susie McCraw, who were childless, stepped up and decided to take him in. They took him in because they couldn't have a child. After they took him in, never legally adopting him, they had a daughter. So my father was this pretty much unloved, unwanted farmhand that they felt that they righteously rescued because they really needed a laborer around. And as most people from the South, they were racist, Southern Baptists, religious, hypocrites, and my father was raised that way. And as were most children, it's what's perpetuated. Anyhow, my mom was a teenager in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and my dad was a teenager in the military. He was briefly stationed in New York before shipping overseas in the Mediterranean and in Europe to fight during World War II. And they met and they fell in love and they found each other to be exotic, and they got married and had me. They were not highly educated, and I was a problem for them. Here I am, an aspiring artist as a young person, fortunate enough to be accepted into an extraordinary high school, the High School of Art and Design, where I'm surrounded by other young aspiring artists. The teachers were artists, so it was a fantastic, nurturing environment, and it was a great experience for me. Of course, I'm exposed to all kinds of things that I'm not exposed to at home. Like books, philosophy, books other than religious books. I had been forced to go to Bible school for 10 years, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, learning all the fantasies of Christianity. I was pretty much ostracized as a young kid. My father threw me out of the home, and I had to find places to live, to crash literally. So I crashed with high school friends, and one in Staten Island and then one in the Bronx, and eventually got my own apartment on Avenue B in 12th Street. And I had my first exhibition at Stanley's Bar on 12th and B. And of course, hung out at the Fuggs bookstore and had lots of artists and actor friends that I had befriended from the social life of being on the Lower East Side. And it's the early 60s, so it was a great time. It was dangerous and all of that, but it was affordable, and I was able to survive. I was primarily a painter. I've always been a painter. My first love has always been painting, and I have always pretty much painted mindscapes or imaginary landscapes. I don't paint fences and barns and individual trees, but I paint the essence of nature, of air and water and earth. And I try to do it in a glaze technique, which kind of is time and motion. I, as a young painter, realized that the galleries don't give a shit. I learned that there's the creative part of being an artist, and there's the business part of being an artist. And I was not prepared to deal with the business part of being an artist. The creative process is the antithesis of the business aspect of art. And I was really disheartened by not being taken seriously by gallery owners. And don't forget, there are only a limited amount of galleries, and art schools churn out gazillions of artists. And where are they going to go, and how are they going to exhibit? What are they going to do? And at this time, there were really big issues that were affecting all of us. Equal rights, civil rights, women's rights. Environmental issues, nuclear war possibilities. It was difficult times to be a young person with concepts and things you wanted to do and say, and no possible outlet for it. The galleries were just a business, and if you didn't fit the mold, you weren't going to be exhibited. So I decided, fuck it all, I'm going to do what I want to do, say what I want to say in the way in which I want to say it, and not be curtailed by the system. So I took to the streets. I decided that I would make a commitment, a statement, against the war in Vietnam and my own personal beliefs, my forced beliefs, issues that I was forced to try to believe about religion. And I didn't accept them, and I wanted to say something about it. So I decided I would declare that God is dead, and not only dead, but decayed. And I would somehow attempt to do this publicly and see what would happen. I didn't anticipate anything good happening. There was a church on the Lower East Side, which is still there, St. Mark's in the Bowery, and it was led by Father Michael Allen. And it opened its doors to playwrights and actors and poets and artists. And there was a program called Theater Genesis, and a lot of my friends were actors and writers and directors, and I mingled with these people. We were friends, and I'd hang out and go see the shows. I'd go to other places where there are off Broadway shows or happenings in lofts. And I decided I would build this 10-foot, 200-pound crucifix and drag it on Easter Sunday up to a little hill called Hovings Hill in Tompkins Square Park and place it up there and make my personal statement. So Father Michael Allen heard about what I was up to, and he paid me a visit at my 199 Avenue B studio to see what I had constructed, which was this grotesque, decayed skeletal figure with a penis on a crucifix. And he said, well, you know, I expect that you're going to get in some serious trouble here. And I said, yeah, I probably will. He said, well, if you do, we can give you and or the crucifix sanctuary in the church. So I thanked him for being so open-minded about it, and proceeded to, on Easter Sunday, drag it out and provoke the public. There were strong reactions to the piece, besides having people stand in front of it, holding onto the penis and having their family portraits taken. It was attacked, and I was busted by the police and the piece was hauled off to St. Mark's in the Bowery by friends, and I had to go to a court hearing, a trial, where I explained myself to the judge, who said, well, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? And I said, well, this is what I did. He said, guilty or not guilty? So I said, I'm guilty. He said, okay, so it's $1 or a day in jail. I didn't even have $1, so somebody came up with $1. So that began my illustrious career as an artist who was making front page news stories. The East Village Other, a local newspaper, gave it front page attention. And that was pretty much, to my recollection, the first news coverage that I had gotten. My reaction to the piece was, of course, I was excited that it garnered that kind of attention. And the photographs were striking. And I noticed how my statement was co-opted by the author of the piece. I had given a Kafka quote, and it looked to me as if they had made it themselves rather than attributing it to me. As a result of being on the front page of the East Village Other, I was approached by a famous television writer, Arnold Pearl, who did Malcolm X, and by filmmakers, Morris Ingle, who did The Little Fugitive, and William Jersey, Bill Jersey of Quest Production, who's an award-winning filmmaker. And they actually paid me money to option my life story. I'm 20 years old, soon to be 21. They're optioning my, this is 1966, they're optioning my life story. I'm going, what life story? But okay, I'll tell you what I can tell you up to this point. So that was my introduction to the media, the big world of the media, going from my personal incident, making a statement against the war in Vietnam, against the church, the hypocrisy of the church, against man's inhumanity to mankind, doing it in a public way, which no one had ever done before. And I mean, you had the Fluxus, and they would play a violin in the street or do stuff in theaters or church basements or loft spaces. But I went to the streets and had lined the streets with posters saying that I was going to crucify Christ, and the time and the place to draw a crowd. Even Yoko Ono came. It was a tremendous introduction to the power that I had in making statements that way. And I wanted to continue doing that because there was no way that the galleries were going to accept me. Nobody gave a shit. If you didn't do what was happening at the time, they weren't going to take you in. And they had a long list of well-established, big-name artists. So the street became my gallery and my audience.